Hi guys, thank you all for tuning into Big Mama Story Time. Story Time! Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment to my page. Here we go.
Hi guys, thank you all for tuning into Big Mama Storytime on today. Today I will be reading to you guys the movie Rio 2, Blue's Wild Journey. All right, guys, so let's get into this. Not too long ago, Blue had thought he was the only Blue Spix McCall left in the world. He lived in Minnesota with Linda, where she owned a bookstore. They didn't have many customers, but they had each other. Yes, they did. I remember Rio 1, guys. One day, a man came to the shop. "I've come 6,000 miles looking for the two of you," he told Linda. The man's name was Tulio. He studied birds, and his specialty was the rare blue Spix macaw. He wanted Blue and Linda to come to Brazil with him. "As far as we know, Blue is the last male of his kind," Tulio said. "We recently found a female of his kind. We hope to bring them together to save the species." Linda and Blue went to Rio with Tulio. They were overwhelmed by the sights and sounds of the big city. It was Carnival, the biggest party of the year. But when Blue met Jewel, he forgot about everything else. She was the most beautiful bird he had ever seen. Jewel didn't think much of Blue at first. He was a bird that couldn't fly, and she was a wild bird that wanted to escape from the aviary and find her way back home. But the two became fast friends. They met other animals in Rio who helped them adjust to the city too. And soon Rio had become their home. Now Blue and Jewel and their three children, Carla, Bia, and Tiago, lived with Linda and Tulio at the sanctuary they had created in Rio. Life was good. And on New Year's Eve, as Blue sat with his family and watched the fireworks pop over the city, he wished that nothing would change. Oh, he loved his life so much. He's like, "I got everything I ever wanted." At that same moment, Linda and Tulio were on an expedition deep in the Amazon rainforest. They were returning a baby bird they nurtured back to health to its home. Suddenly, the river rapids swept them downstream and over a waterfall. When they surfaced at the bottom, they made their way to dry land to catch their breath. As they sat there trying to figure out where they had landed, a bird zipped over their heads and one lone feather fell to the ground. A bright blue feather. Linda and Tulio looked at each other in awe. It belonged to a blue Spix macaw. Back in Rio, Blue and the kids were busy making breakfast. Flip! A pancake sailed through the air. Squirt! Carla sprayed whipped cream on top. Jewel flew in with the Brazil nut clutched in her beak. She couldn't believe the sight before her. She pulled Blue aside. She wanted him to help her show their kids how to be birds, not people. But everything stopped when Tulio and Linda appeared on TV. Tulio showed the feather they found and announced that a flock of blue Spix macaws might be living in the jungle. "We're not the only ones," Jewel cried excitedly. "We have to get out to the wild and be birds, Blue." Carla, Bia, and Tiago cheered. An adventure into the wild sounded like a good idea to them, too. But Blue wasn't so sure. Blue has always been a home bird. Okay, he's always been a pet. Blue hurried to find his friends. He told Rafael, Nico, and Pedro that Jewel wanted to take the kids to the Amazon to look for more birds of their kind. He couldn't understand why she would want to change their situation when everything was going so well. but his friends convinced him it would be a good trip for the whole family, a vacation in the wild. If this is important to Jewel, just do it, Raphael said. Happy wife, happy life. It was a beautiful trip. The birds flew from Rio to Oro Preto. They perched on top of a cathedral where they could see the entire city. Carla, Bia, and Tiago had never been anywhere outside of Rio. They couldn't get enough of the new sights. The family flew for the rest of the day and into the night. The kids were growing weary. They were ready to get to the vacation portion of the trip. Blue and Jewel gave the kids a lift. Carla, Bia, and Tiago slept soundly as their parents carried them through the night. The family flew on. As they coasted over a river, they spotted an old riverboat steaming along. What luck! They swooped down to hitch a ride. Blue and Jewel sat on top of the boat as it moved slowly down the river. The sun was beginning to set. It cast a pink and gold glow over the water. Jewel spread her wings and let the wind ruffle her feathers. She was so happy to be out in the open air. Oh, she missed it. She felt hung up in there. I get it. I be feeling claustrophobic too. Blue was nervous to be going to such a wild place. He couldn't help but look back toward the city a few times as the boat moved farther down the river. But the sight of Jewel made him hopeful that this new adventure would be exciting. Thank you for doing this, Jewel said. I would do anything for you, Blue replied, and he meant it. The birds remained on the old riverboat into the night. It was nice to rest their wings for a little while. Hopefully they ain't on no bad boat. At first light, the travelers were well rested. They flew off with high hopes and renewed excitement. Jewel felt so at home being back in the wild. The birds finally landed in the jungle. They looked around, but there was no sign of Linda or Tulio. There was no sign of any other macaws. Blue checked his GPS. He'd programmed in the exact coordinates of Linda and Tulio's camp. Could they have missed a turn or landed in the wrong part of the jungle? You did get on a boat. Suddenly, a flash of blue caught Jewel's eye. Blue watched as she looked up into the tree canopy, then followed her gaze. Blue couldn't believe what they were seeing. Perched in the branches overhead were dozens of blue spix macaws. I can't believe we found them, Jewel said, breathless. Blue had to admit it was an amazing sight. They come so far from Rio, and here was the very thing they'd been searching for, more of their kind. Mm. So it was worth the adventure, Blue. What is going on? An angry voice boomed out of the shadows. A large bird appeared and looked down at the new arrivals. Who are you? Where did you come from? Blue wasn't sure what to do, but Jewel walked up to the bird and gave him a little push. Hey, she said, back off. She stared into his eyes, then gasped. I can't believe it, she said. How is this? The other bird said, I've looked everywhere for you. Jewel couldn't believe her eyes. It was her father, Eduardo. Mm, mm, mm. Oh, man, Jewel. My daughter has returned. Eduardo said proudly. He hugged Jewel. Then he returned to meet his grandchildren. Blue looked on from the background. This was the family Jewel had been taken from. Here they all were, tucked away in the Amazon, an entire tribe of blue spix macaws. Blue tried to join the happy reunion, but Eduardo was tough. He kept calling Blue Stu. Blue hadn't felt as far from home as he did now. watching Jewel greet old family and friends. My thing is, if y'all around all these blues, these Spix Macaws, maybe blues in there. I'm just saying. Eduardo led the way to the Macaws' village, hidden behind a waterfall in the verdant green forests were even more blue Spix Macaws. Blue couldn't believe how far he had come. He was once thought to be the only male blue Spix Macaw left in the entire world. Now he had a beautiful wife, three amazing children, and an entire jungle full of birds just like him. They were no longer the last of their kind. Mm. He knew there would be challenges to face and other birds to impress, but Blue was proud of himself. It had been a wild journey for the little blue Spix Macaw from Minnesota, and now it was time to celebrate with new family and friends. All right, guys, that's the end. Okay. All right, guys, that was Rio 2 Blues Wild Journey. Thank you all for tuning in to Big Mama Storytime. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my page if you haven't done so already. All right, guys, bye.